Welcome back to Laser Penguin Games. Today I'm going to be going through, I guess, my first Wolcen Lords of Mayhem build, which is going to be a device rogue. And let's go ahead and get in a game so I can show you guys what I use to level and beat the game. Obviously there's been a ton of bugs and problems with the launch of this game. It is a small team, so everyone's just hoping they'll fix these problems over time, and then hopefully maybe they'll add some content, because right now the end game is pretty dismal. There's not really anything to do. Basically just a few bosses to fight if you grind for hours on end. I ended up getting to level 70 before, pretty much called it. I was like, I think that's good enough. I got enough points. Although, again, with the leveling system in this game, to get all your full points, you're going to need to get to, if there is a max level, I'm guessing there is, because you only get so many points. I think it's like 80, 84 or something around there, even with the bonus. So we also, there's still a ton of problems with this game. So a lot of these skills might not even be working properly. But whatever I did was good enough to get through the game, and mostly grind my way a bit after in the. I don't know if you can even call it an end game. It's basically just rifts. That's all you end up doing. Just rifts upon more rifts, so that you can get more levels and then have all your gear just get weaker and useless, so that you have to spend just more time grinding to get more gear, but then as soon as you level, that gear's obsolete, and it's just like an endless shit show, really. Until I guess you get to the max level, and then you can kind of finally fix your gear. But you can see here, even in town, the health regen stat doesn't work properly. I'm not sure. It seems to work sometimes in combat, but I have some health regen and doesn't work. I just drank some of my potion. But alright, so just like Diablo builds, I'm going to start with the skills. You don't get a lot of options in Wolcen, so let's go ahead and take a look at. I'm going to leave the dagger there because this is pretty much it. So this is all the skills. I think it's just 11 or something. That's all you get for, and I mean, I don't know. This is rogue, so there might be a few more for the other two classes, but they're pretty much all attacks, besides two of them. So evasion and Dust Shroud are your two kind of, I don't say movement abilities. A big problem already is that there are no like actual passive skills to choose, especially for something like defensive, or to give yourself buffs or party buff, anything like that. There's just nothing like that in the rogue talents. So even when you unlock the last skill, because you only have, I guess, 5 for most of the game, you're playing through the story and everything, you're only going to have five skills till the end game, and then you're going to be able to unlock the 6th one, which really doesn't help at all. So you're basically using more than half the skills you can get, but they have this duplicate skill thing as well, where you can duplicate one of your skills, but the problem is right now all the skills are on the same cooldown. So if you have multiple of the same skill, it doesn't matter, because you press the button, you can't cast the other one, it's still on cooldown until the first one comes back, and then you might as well just cast the first one again. So really, the only thing we've really seen to bother where it could actually help is if you're a summoner, because you cast the summon and it's up permanently, and then you can. So I've seen seen that be useful, but other than that, just doesn't look like much point. Either it's going to be on cooldown, or you're not going to be able to afford the cost of the skill, anyways. And so hopefully, again, I mean, this is full release now, but I'm really hoping they add some more skills and some more, I guess, skill modifiers as well. So I'm going to look at the main moves I'm going to be using here. So I'm using Avenger Turret, and that's going to be the main damage. It's the main device we're using here. And I actually went with the Barrier, the Ballistic Reinforcements, which allows me to summon a second turret. Increase the damage with the Twin Repeater. High caliber ammunition for more damage. Try to reduce the cooldown a bit with the automated ammunition charge. And made the turret stay up longer for another 2 seconds with the Super Sentry. So right now, it doesn't matter how high you go, it seems, with the skills. You only get 10 points. So you can see this is level 87 right now. And you only get 10 points to put in throughout your entire board. It doesn't matter how high it goes, and basically you stop getting new shit at level 47 for each skill. Then you get the last skill modifier. So basically you're going to end up with like 40 something levels where you just get nothing. You're getting shit. Doesn't matter what you're doing with the skills. I think it might be the 50s or 60s where you get the last point, but basically you feel like you're almost getting nothing for level. Like, you get like mediocre amounts of upgrades on the damage. Also, you still need it, or because everything's getting better and all your shit's getting worse. So that's the main move I'm using. And then the second main move is another device, which is going to be Havoc Orb. So I have that in my right click, and then I put it in E, the turret, because you kind of have to be able to angle it the direction you want. For the Havoc Orb, I went with Massive Blast Zone. It's just effect radius. Magnificent Explosion, it's just more weapon damage. Glory to Mankind, which is going to add a huge amount of damage and fire a rocket, basically, instead of like the fire explosion. I'm going to increase the crit with Vaporizer, increase the crit damage with Extreme Fragmentation. Disintegrating Payload is when the rocket blows up, it kind of fires grenades everywhere as well. And then Unstable Charge is going to give us another 45% weapon damage. So basically, there's two ways to do this move. You can get a ton of projectiles and lose all the damage, or you can do what I did, is kind of just crank the damage. And you'll see why that's good, because I have a lot of Pierce, and we're going to be able to send that rocket through multiple enemies before it explodes. Death Gazer Railgun is basically a sniper shot that I used while leveling up, but the charge time just took too long. When you're in fights where you want to be mobile, you kind of get stuck. It makes you just stand there. So unless you're playing multiplayer with a tank, this move kind of is total shit. It's kind of useless. If you can use it when you're during story mode, because it's still fun to do, but later game, if you're playing solo, no good. I have Dust Shroud here. Let's see, just to frenzy enemies. I guess I have a few extra points that I didn't even put in, because I really just maybe I'll do the movement speed. Generate stamina. Yeah, I'll take that. So I just have increased skill duration, breaks crowd control, lets you move through enemies while you're invisible. Then I just pick that up, obviously. Increase movement speed, and reduce the rage cost, and the cooldown. So this is more of a get the hell out of there button, which you thought it would be earlier game when you have evasion for most of the game. You know, I didn't get just Shroud till post game. Evasion just really sucks. I have it, but I almost never use it. So it basically is kind of like a back roll where you roll away from something, but if anything's there, you just get stuck on it. And there's so many bugs where you just get stuck with this one. So I mean, I have my bar, but I just try to not use it if I don't have to, because Dust Shroud's so much better. And it's just going to cost you more. Wow, weapon damage. Doesn't even matter. Breaks crowd control effects. Nice. Use a decoy that generates threat. I mean, some of them are okay, like with multiplayer, like who generating threat, I mean, the thing's dead in like half a second and then they're coming after you anyway, so it's really not doing much. Cooldown. Why would I want to increase the cooldown? That's just an oh shit button. Then one of the only other useful moves we're going to see here is going to be our Mark of Impurity. So I got a few extra points for this too. Die instantly. So this I tried to take all the longer durations and increase damage as well. Yeah, reduce the cooldown. And reduce the cooldown again. So this is basically very similar to one of the moves in Diablo 3 that you're getting on your rogue ranger type character. In that case it's a demon hunter, where you just mark the target for extra damage and then extra crit, everything else like that. It's pretty simple. You just put it on the boss. I usually don't even bother with it on regular enemies. And the last move is Wailing Arrows, which I used pretty much for leveling up, because early game you just get your arrow moves and you run with them for a while. Late game I kind of use it as a little bit of extra damage because the raid cost is low, and it really helps kill, like, there's a few flying mobs in this game that are glitch out and you can't shoot them with the irregular attacks on the ground. So because Wailing Arrows attack from the sky, it'll hit those enemies, as well as anything that's blocking. You can still dump the arrows on top of them. So what we got here: cooldown reduction, weapon damage, rage cost reduction. This is a very important one. The extra circles, it just widens the area of your volleys. And then we got, let's give it some critical hit score and ailment damage or something. Increase critical chance for self and allies around you. Is that better? What we got here? Critical hit damage. Yeah, that's good. Cooldown reduced. I mean, it's up pretty quick anyway, and I have some extra reduction on my gear, so that's pretty much it for the skills. There's not much to choose from. You're pretty much locked in to either using the bow skills, and then you got these ones. You can still use them all with daggers, bows, and pistols, but I guess these are more meant to be like for the dagger build, where you can hold a dagger and have a shield as well, if you want to do like a melee build. But there's really no reason to, since most of the, I guess you can still use the turrets with a dagger as well. So I definitely could have gone with daggers for this, but you're gonna see that I'm dual pistols, and you'll see why as well. See here, I did unlock the one duplicate skill. It's just the same thing. You level it up again, but for some, I have no idea why they put it on the same cooldown. It just makes no sense. Okay, so let's take a look at stats wise what I did here. It's kind of a mess. I did wish I had a bit more ferocity instead of agility, and I can always just keep resetting my attributes, but the main thing is it doesn't really matter what points you put in it's going to increase your damage no matter where you put them. So I try to get all my toughness, my life and everything from actual toughness points, and then use all my skill points after to your passive skill points in the tree, which I basically use those for offensive mostly, and we'll see that in a second here. So for gear, might as well look at that while we're here too. I'm going to be using dual Regicide Mark IIIs, which is a unique. There's only 2 unique pistols in the whole game right now, as far as I know. This one is going to give us +1 pierce to all projectiles. So we're going to get that twice, which is really nice. So it's going to let us, basically, when we shoot an enemy, it's going to go through an extra 2 enemies. So the 1 bullet, and then we're going to get more pierce from some other skills as well in the tree. So we're going to try and pierce 4 or 5 times if we can, and just get that damage through, especially a lot of mobs that are going to stand in front of bosses. This pierce is effective for all your skills that are projectiles, so the turret is going to count here, and it's going to launch its bullets through enemies as well. I think those are pretty much the only things that you really got to worry about. You can use any pistols throughout the rest of the game until you can find some of these. And that's pretty much it for the rest of the gear. You're just looking for priority is either material damage or all damage. And then after that you can get basically crit and cooldown. So that's pretty much what I did here. If you guys want to see the rest of the pieces real quick, you can like slow it down and pause it if you want to. My rings are pretty bad right now. These shoulders I was kind of just experimenting with, but I don't think you need them at all. You can get some better legendary ones. I haven't even upgraded all my gear to legendary yet. My amulet is probably my nicest piece of gear. Just has all the stats I want. It's got attack speed, crit, material damage, and then actual rend and physical, which are both material damages added to, and then I added some life leech. Oh yeah, the other gems I added are just global life leech and physical damage. The uniques, which are the purples, you can't add sockets to them, so that really sucks, especially if you've outleveled your weapons and you kind of get a new weapon that has more damage, which I've already seen, and then I can make it do way more damage than the Mark III here, but then I'd lose the projectile pierce, and that would kind of ruin my damage in a lot of ways, because now you're only hitting 1 target instead of, like 3 or 4. Your projectile just stops. Alright, so for the actual, it's called Gates of Fate. Zoom out a bit here. So the way this works is you're going to be able to spin the 3 circles around to kind of line up the paths you want. And I kind of went all over the place. You see, I definitely started in the, so we can see the trees here. So this is a sentinel tree. And then I spun it around so that this tree here, which is the ranger tree, I believe. So that lines up on the left point here, which lets us go up. And then I spun the tree around until the exorcist tree lined up with that. And then I just took the bottom, so you can see where all the lights are. This is obviously a lot of skills to go through, but these are basically just extra damage. And then what happens is, so I took the bottom of the ranger tree as well. I didn't take the extra projectile here, and I didn't take the damage on impaired enemies, because I just don't have anything that impairs enemies right now, really. But one of the most important things too is this tree over here, which really helps a lot. So this is called Child of Fury skill, and it's going to change your willpower generated into rage. So instead of sitting there and watching your wisdom go up the entire game, which is really frustrating. You'll actually have like passive rage regeneration, which is really awesome. So if you're running around in a fight, then you're actually generating the rage to place more turrets and fire your specials back. So that's all I got from this tree here, is the Furious Appetite. But you can see here I end up using a lot. It's all green and red trees. I think originally I came through the center here because this is actually going to be the main tree of the build down here. So I kind of stopped along the way here to get some extra life leech. And then this is actually the Alistair, which is the device tree. So this is where the main points are for this build. So we got Sparking Dart, Static Transferal, and Intravenous Neural Cord. But you can see how I put the point. I kind of you'll see that I avoid like any elemental damage anywhere in any of the trees as well, because everything I'm going to be doing is going to be basically physical, and then if you have a little bit of rend and toxic, that is okay as well. After I finished these trees, I kind of put a few extra points down here. Like I got Warmonger here, Bestial Frenzy, and then I came over because this tree here, which is, I guess, Siegebreaker, is actually going to give us some pretty good physical damage here. So we get 50%, which in these two alone, and minus occult damage and elemental damage, which I just don't have much of anyway, doesn't even matter. And then another 15%. So there's a ton of extra physical damage if you come over to this tree after. And then if I ever finally end up grinding some more points in, I'll probably travel over here somewhere to Assassin and get some more crit damage. Or I could actually just go up through the red tree here, because you can see here on the original star here, there's cooldown reduction right in the middle of each one. So it seems like a good pickup. It's only 2 away if you pick up some toughness from each of the 3 here, and then you can get 30% cooldown reduction by getting those 3 skills. And that's pretty much it for all the Gates of Fate points. Once you get higher level, you can kind of just do what you want. But this is the build I use. Obviously, the start, like I said, I came through here right away to the device tree. So I didn't have it lined up properly when I started. I actually had the Ranger tree lining up directly to the device tree. So all these extra points I didn't really have yet. But then I kind of figured it out later that generating rage is pretty good. Alright, so let's go ahead and open a rift my level.
Welcome to the Purple Phoenix.
As the cats try to break in my room and kill each other. Thanks for that, cats. So I'm level 70. My gear is not sure. Let's just do a rift for some extra productivity. Most of my gear is not anywhere close to my level. It's all too low right now, but hopefully I can still do these rifts. See here, I'm just dual wielding. I just dropped the turret. So another thing with the turret is you can actually pick it up for fun too. So you can drop your first turret. You can drop it like this, and then you can pick up the second one and kind of just block anywhere around and just shoot. Like a Gatling gun. And then I got my Rage Regen, which obviously my potions are 1 health potion and 1 rage potion. Otherwise, you're never going to have enough rage to do all your attacks. So this says kill the Elder Purifier Veterans. I hope it's not the guys with the shields, because They are basically the worst enemy to fight for this build. When you're doing the rifts, you really don't have to bother. Okay, good. They're not the guys with the shields. But they are going to attack. Oh, I got a big group of enemies here. Just roll. Put up some turrets. You see the bullets are just flying everywhere, going through everything. Mostly the elite mobs. I'm going to take a lot more hits. So we've pretty much cleared out the whole big group there. And then the idea is you kind of want to drop the turret and then roll in front of your own turret you just placed. As well as also I'm putting the mark on them. You can see it above his head right now. Oops, I just shot the other way. Ah, he's dead. Nah, I just don't feel like picking up anything right now. Deal with it later. If it's not orange, it doesn't really even matter at this point, even though it's higher level. I know I have to spend the time to make the oranges. Or trade for some if I really wanted to. You can see there I just shot a rocket. So that's my right mouse click. Which sometimes I have rage for. But the turrets are priority. So you can see here, I'll shoot one. So it goes right through there and you see it exploded on the third or fourth target. And so basically, the first target might get hit by the grenades as well, which is nice. But the turrets are definitely doing the most damage. Ooh, there's one of those gold bugs. Gonna get mad at me though. As soon as you trigger them, they just start running. They're just like the loot goblins from Diablo 3. My cat's mad that the other cats are at the door trying to break in. It's okay, Nina. Oh, I'll pick up the ring. I kind of need those pretty bad. Let's see if I can kill this bug. Wow, that missile just absolutely missed. Get the bugs. Okay, so you can see on the mini map, he's running this way. Just triggered those barrels. Maybe they would have helped me kill the bug. Alright, the turret should do a lot of damage too. I think that rocket hit. Oh, that bug's gone. It's really hard to get the bug in a big area like this when you're the turrets because I don't have like the heat seeking. So there's an ability on the turret you can get where it actually turns and targets enemies itself, but then you either lose damage or you lose the shield, and the shield is just really good at blocking so many projectiles that could kill you, especially during boss fights. So I would rather just aim the turret myself and not have to worry about the bugs. Alright, let's see if I can go run and find some of these guys. Here, I'll use my dust. My roll. Just run through and go fast. It's so I got two in here, maybe I can I'll just try to run away and drop as many turrets as I can. Also, you regenerate rage for your normal attacks as well as passively now that I have the extra skill. That one's dead. Hey. Sometimes the mark doesn't work properly. There we go. Kill him.
I need more power.
Some random guy with a bow there. I don't even care about fighting that guy really. Like it looks like he's one of the boss mobs, but he's not. It's just a fake. Even though they all look the same on the map, they couldn't put the quest guys a different color because I guess that was too much. So maybe they'll fix that in the future as well, where they don't put just random skulls all over the map, make you think that it might be. Maybe they can just change the color, even if it's another skull. Maybe make it yellow or something for the objective, and red for just a random one. I'm gonna use the. Oh shoot! More guys here. I'll pick it up and just fire it. Just mowed him down. He's trying to snipe me. Oh, I think he missed. Psst, idiot. No. I do have a chance to block right now as well, because you can get it actually on the tree at a higher level. You can go around the circle and get it, or you can find it on I guess some pieces of armor have it where you can block with any weapon. So that's another interesting thing they kind of put in, where maybe to get some more toughness you can block with any weapon. But I'm not really worried about it. I'll try to just hide behind the shield, and it blocks from both sides actually too. Alright, is this the last one? Alright, we got him. So what I'm going to try and do is get him to run between my turrets and just get shot. I have enough rage to pick one up. There we go. Hasta la vista, baby. Okay. I'll say this is no good versus bosses to do this unless you got a tank in multiplayer, because you're kind of stuck just standing there. That's another reason why the sniper shot was not as good, but I usually only do it if I know the mob is going to die within a few seconds. So I can complete that, and sure, a bunch of crap. It's got some max life, sure. Get some productivity. But that's pretty much it for the turret device rogue, you can call it, in Wolcen. So obviously the game's only been out for about a week now, and we're going to see probably, hopefully, a ton of changes in the next few months of this game. So there's more to do, more items, more skills, just everything that also it seems like they needed to just rush the game out, and it wasn't ready. They didn't beta test a lot of stuff properly, but it's their first go. The story is still a lot of fun, so if you guys haven't played yet, the story's pretty good, the single player, but just don't expect much from the online multiplayer right now. It's kind of a shit show. Hello everyone who made it to the end of the video. This is Laser Pen Games, reminding you to smash that like button, leave a comment below, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. It really helps out. And if you're looking for even more content, check out my Patreon here, where I post exclusive video content every month, and you'll have access to all of that.